Good evening. I'm Jerry Vreeman, executive producer of Lansing's Channel 4, our public access station here in Lansing. We're excited about tonight because for the very first time, we are doing a year-end review live from our studios. We hope that you'll enjoy it. Welcome back to Channel 4 Studios. We are live for the first time in our history doing year-end reviews. This has been a special year for us at Channel 4 because we have not only done more programming than any other year before us, but we've gotten some very special tools. One of those most exciting for us is what's called in the broad community, and sometimes negatively, a drone. It's actually a remote-controlled helicopter with a camera underneath it, and it gives us an opportunity to give you and any other viewers a broader perspective of what's happening here in our village. Lansing is very strategically located on a crossroads here in the Midwest, the quarry on one side, Indiana border on another side, and imagine that you are like a little bird. If you've never been in a helicopter or a plane coming out of Lansing's airport, you take a look over the village of Lansing and many of the features of Lansing, and you get a whole new perspective of what this community is like. We begin tonight our year-end review by taking an overview of this special place that we call home. We hope that you'll enjoy your review of the village of Lansing. Well, welcome back to the first ever year-end review out of the studios at Channel 4 here in Lansing. This is a live production, and we are now talking with the man who really makes it all happen, at least on a day-to-day basis, Neil Murphy. Neil, I'm so glad that we have this chance just to talk a little bit with the neighborhood watching.
Yeah.
How long have you been a part of Channel 4?
I've been a part of Channel 4 for 14 years, since 2001, summer of 2001.
I kind of knew the answer to that, but I also wanted
I hope
folks
you would know
to
the
know
answer to
about
that.
Neil, you've come from coming here as a volunteer, the first ideas, and training many others, being part of managing the staff, thinking about the role of cable access or public access television in Lansing. Tell us a little bit about what is it that Channel 4 is trying to accomplish here in Lansing?
Well, Channel 4, I think simply what we're trying to accomplish is to give back to the community and give back, I think initially just knowledge, what's going on in your town, to turn the community into more of a community by bringing people together, by letting them know this is going on in town and this is happening here, but to also inform the community, and whether that be from experts outside of the village, experts in the village, people talking about, like we have the book show, we used to do a review show on movies and all that, and a cooking show. So it's usually to give something advice or to offer a dialogue, or at least get a dialogue going, something that usually a lot of communities don't really do. Most communities have their community calendar, have their announcements, and that's good enough for them. It may be a program a year, a church service that does a Christmas program, and that's great. But I think all year round, people should be able to have access to this type of service that we provide.
We'll talk with David Boomker in a little bit about how this community calendar comes about. We've often said since the beginnings of Channel 4 that a better informed neighborhood is a better neighborhood. You are responsible over these last number of years for pulling together the teams that make that all happen. But behind that, you've had a passion in the whole film and television world, writing, as well as everybody dreams about doing some major cinematographic film or something. But you've applied all those skills now here locally to Lansing. Can you talk a little bit about why you're still passionate about serving here in Lansing?
Well, video film has always gone back to me a story. And if there's any way I can tell a story in a medium format, that's my favorite format to tell stories in. And there's still stories that can be told here, whether it's people's stories in the community or maybe an idea I come up with, or maybe somebody who's interested, who's a young growing up teenager from the schools that can come here and use these tools to get excited and do the same thing I did and come up with stories. I mean, basically that's what we're doing right now, is almost a story about me and you and the station here. So that's the exciting part to me, and that there's still so much more we can do here. Otherwise, I probably would have already left if there wasn't anywhere to go with this. So by me staying here, it's because I see that there's a future with how we can integrate and create better stories, higher quality, and give people, again, something that entertains, informs, excites, and gives them imagination.
And is Channel 4 using contemporary tools, or is it state of the art, so that if some young person is watching right now, or maybe a grandparent with a grandson or granddaughter who is interested in filmmaking, do they have the opportunity to work with high quality tools here at Channel 4?
I would say, if I can quote a movie character here, the Joker, we're ahead of the curve. Definitely. I mean, we aren't the high-end for sure. We don't have the big broadcasters like NBC or ABC, but you don't see anything like this on our level. And we definitely outmatch any public access in the area. You can go check them out yourself. We'll give you a tour, anybody a tour, and anybody can come in to volunteer. We are light speed beyond any of those, and it's because we care about, again, what we're trying to do here, the story and the information we're trying to get out.
And we must give credit to the village of Lansing,
Yes.
because over the years, the 14 years that you've been involved, as well as myself, the village has invested a significant amount of resources to just simply keep this tool available to the neighborhood. And it may sound repetitive, but why do you feel this, keeping this tool here in the hands of Lansing residents, is still important, rather than just go off and watch YouTube or whatever they can find on the net?
Because on YouTube, what you can find on the net, you're having somebody tell you something that's not from your town, your world, your community. That's not a bad thing. I think that's a great thing, that how we can connect across the world, and we can do that as well. I think it's important that our voice be heard, just like everybody else's voice, and also that you have, again, that community that feel that somebody close to you cares about you, cares about the town, and that's what we kind of do.
What's fun for me watching you grow up too is that you've worked in so many different parts of Channel 4, not just
Yeah.
behind the scenes, but once in a while also in front of the camera, like this summer at Autumn Fest. And we're going to show folks just a little clip as we move into the review about Autumn Fest with you interviewing Jane Hensley. But before we do that, Neil, I just want to thank you for your years of service, not only to Channel 4, but to me personally. And I hope that the community has a deep appreciation of how much commitment you and the team here have made to providing quality programming. We're very proud of what you do.
You're welcome. Lansing, welcome, and thank you for giving me the opportunity, you and Lansing.
And now, here's Neil doing his thing outside this summer.
I'm here with Jane Hensley out here at the Autumn Fest. We're here at the memorial service that was here
Military program we call it.
the military program, and it just happened, and it seemed to go off without a hitch. I heard there wasn't much rehearsal, so how do you think you guys did?
I think they did fabulous. We didn't have any rehearsal at all. There's just no time to do that. So everybody was just kind of notified where they'd be in the program, and I had help from teachers at TF South who got their kids to do the biographies on the fallen Vietnam veterans from Lansing, and the kids did a great job.
And that's something that you had talked about, that everyone here was a Lansing volunteer.
Yes.
Everyone involved here was from Lansing.
Everybody who sang in the program, Molly Rowe did Amazing Grace, Jennifer Gray did the National Anthem, and then we had two young men who did songs, Cody Krillich and Andy Mead, and they did fabulous.
Why is it important to have events like this? So we typically, I think a lot of people overlook these events, but why do you think it's important?
I think that the young kids need to know that there were great sacrifices made. I particularly ask that as many boys be in this program as possible, because they're not much younger than these young men who gave their lives. Most of them were 19 years old when they were killed. So I just thought it would just be fitting that these kids need to be aware, and they took it very seriously. So that's great.
Autumn Fest is a great community event. It's an event that brings people out and to bring back the hometown back to Lansing.
Well, welcome back to the Channel 4 Studios Live, where we get to meet a very important person to what goes on here at Channel 4, David Boomker. It's not only an opportunity for the people to look outside or into Channel 4, but what happens behind the scene. You've been here for how many years?
I've been here in Lansing for 10 years at the TV channel.
And for that whole time, you have been a part of what we call the programming, not only helping to define what goes on the air, but actually how do we get community events, community announcements, people's information or ideas. Tell us a little bit about how does that come about? How do you gather that information, and then what do you do with it?
Well, there's, for the community calendar, which I've done for most of the time that I've been here, I mean, it goes back a ways to when we were getting faxes. And
what is a fax again?
Oh, well, yeah, which we still get some faxes for the community calendar, but now we get a lot more emails, and you know, people call on the phone and ask about getting an announcement.
It doesn't just come out as an announcement or a graphic. You do something creative with it, or do the people submit it that way?
Yeah, sometimes we go and we take a picture, or if it's an event that we've covered in the past, we'll have a stock picture of it available. But generally, we want to make something that's a little more viewable than just, you know, words on a color.
And how do you do that?
We use a program called Photoshop.
That's the software program.
That's a software program, and it has a lot of helpful tools for making announcements. And one thing that we do a little differently than some other channels is we use multiple slides for certain announcements so that you have a little bigger font so that you can read it a little easier, and fewer words on individual slides.
So that's the community calendar, and it's a calendar, it's announcements, but you're also responsible here for the programming, the finished programming that actually goes out over the air, whether it's a music program or an interview program or a little short. What's the philosophy behind our overall programming here as you see it, Dave?
That's a good question. It's a mix of entertainment and community information. I don't think people are going to stick around just to hear what the village government has if there isn't entertainment first, and I don't think they're going to stick around just for entertainment if there's also not pertinent information about the community.
So how do you balance that? How do we balance that as the programmer?
A lot of the community information essentially dictates itself because
it's timely or it's seasonal.
Timely, and we'll get a call from someone and say, hey, we need help encouraging this event to happen, or we're working on this program, what can Channel 4 help with? So a lot of times those issues kind of just take care of themselves because we'll hear what is being worked on by various departments and organizations around town and then do programming alongside of it. And I guess I would say that a lot of the arts and entertainment works itself out that way too, because we follow the school calendars, we follow probably the church calendars and stuff as well for some of the arts and entertainment content.
This is your chance now to speak to the whole community, David. What kinds of programming would you like to see? Would we like to see that perhaps we haven't had yet if someone is interested in submitting an idea or even has a program?
You know, that's a really good question. I produce hardcover feedback along with Brandy Smits from the Lansing Public Library. I personally am not a big reader. I have dyslexia and such. I personally am not a big reader, but I understand that there are people in town that love that topic, and I as a non-reader, I think it's a very watchable show, but there's so many topics that our residents are interested in that I would probably put a call out there to anyone that has a topic that they know other residents are interested in discussing to, talk to us, let us know what your interest is, and I'd be happy to produce a show that I'm not necessarily interested in the general topic of.
Well, with that as kind of the pitch to the community, David, I want to say thank you for your years of service here at Channel 4 and for the way that you continue to connect with the community. That number will be throughout the program here on the screen if they will contact you and know that you're going to accept their ideas or at least give it consideration. I hope the community will feel good about that as well. Thanks, Dave, for being a part of this year-end review here in 2015. And I'm excited about a future documentary that Channel 4 and Omega are producing on behalf of the Tri-Motors event here in Lansing, not only, but the whole history of the Ford hangar. And here's a little piece of an exciting moment we had in 2015 interviewing Ed Rush, who flies one of the only current aviation-worthy tri-motors, and he flew it here into Lansing this summer, and we had a little chat with him.
We have to start from the beginning, and in 1923, a fellow by the name of Bill Stout went to see Henry Ford, and the great man and his son Edsel were in disagreement on almost anything except aviation. They agreed that aviation was a coming thing. Bill Stout said, "Mr. Ford, if you'll finance my airplane company, I'll build you the safest airliners in the world." And he said, "I can only guarantee you that you probably won't get your money back." And Henry enjoyed his honesty, and they became very good friends. So Henry financed the Stout Metal Airplane Company division of Ford Motor Company. And Bill Stout and his crew designed a couple of airplanes that weren't very successful, and then they designed a single-engine airplane called the 2AT, the Model 2 Air Transport. That airplane was relatively successful, and they built a few of those. And then Henry said, "I want a passenger airline, but I don't want my passengers riding around in a single-engine airplane. I want the redundancy of multi-engines." So Bill Stout went to work on a design, and they came up with a disastrous design called the Model 3AT, which flew terribly, and the test pilot said he would never set foot in it again after he first flew it. That airplane disappeared into history, and they next came up with the Model 4AT, which flew very well and was the little brother of this airplane behind us. This is a Model 5AT. The two airplanes, the 4AT and the 5AT, are very close to the same size. The 4ATs, though, had a slightly smaller cabin, slightly less wing, and lower power. The reason for the three engines is strictly redundancy. Mr. Ford wanted a multi-engine airplane, and it seemed a logical design to put one under each wing and one on the nose. Tri-motors, three engines, was a widely used design concept, not only by Ford. Fokker used three-engine airplanes. Ford, there were others. Stinson built two or three different models of three-engine airplanes. This airplane was designed as a passenger airliner. It was to be the first all-metal passenger airliner built in the United States, the ultimate technology feat of its day.
As we look at footage like that, we realize that we are almost emotionally connected to it because we realize the history that the footage represents that went on here in Lansing and throughout our country. And perhaps we're a little bit more connected to it because the guys went up and down and we talked with the pilots, but it's one example of how the team here is committed to bring to the neighborhood and to the region some very exciting and interesting events and features of the significance of this village to this region. We hope that you've enjoyed this little review of 2015. Before we leave, we are going to show you just a couple of more ideas and elements of a broad variety of things and events that happened here. But we want to just simply say thank you for your regular watching of Channel 4, for watching this special program. And on behalf of all of us here at Channel 4, we wish you a very blessed Christmas, a very happy New Year celebration, and we'll look forward to spending lots of time with you in the new year 2016. Thank you for watching.
It's a bit like flying a motorbike. You normally fly at about 80 miles an hour, maybe only 800 feet off the ground. I've flown through 19 countries now. People are basically the same, and they've been very helpful to allow me to get around the world.
Let's give all our Vietnam veterans a big round of applause and a big welcome home. God bless you guys.
Tonight we're hosting the National Night Out. It's very important for us to be able to kind of be one with the community.
We like to claim that we have the best fireworks around, so everybody comes to Lansing to see our fireworks.
These 51 honorees represent what is best about the village of Lansing.